Imagine it is 80,000 years ago, and the sun has just dropped behind the edge of the African savanna. A small group of hunter-gatherers is sitting around a fire after another exhausting day of tracking animals, watching for predators, and searching for enough food to make it to tomorrow. There are no cities anywhere on Earth, no music except the sounds people make themselves, no ceremonies, no written words, and no stories about romance. There is only fire, darkness, and the handful of people you depend on to stay alive. Now imagine that one of the people sitting across from you is not just another member of the group. It is someone you have chosen, someone you protect, and someone who protects you. In our world, what happens next feels obvious. You would lean forward and kiss them. But would an ancient human have done the same thing? Surprisingly, nobody knows. That sounds strange, because kissing feels almost universal today. Films end with a kiss, weddings end with a kiss, and couples kiss to say hello, goodbye, or nothing at all. It is one of the most recognizable human gestures on the planet. And yet, when scientists try to trace it backward through the deep history of our species, they run straight into a wall. Kissing does not fossilize. Stone tools survive for 1,000,000 years. Bones survive, weapons survive, and even fingerprints left in wet clay can last for thousands of years. But a kiss leaves absolutely nothing behind. No skeleton has ever told an archaeologist whether the person it belonged to ever kissed someone they loved. One of the most common behaviors in human life is also one of the hardest to trace, because it disappears the moment it ends. For a long time, historians simply assumed that kissing had always existed. If humans love each other now, why would they not have done the same 50,000 years ago? It seemed obvious. But science has a habit of questioning things that seem obvious, and when anthropologists began studying cultures across the world, they found something nobody expected. Not every society kisses romantically. Even today there are communities where couples rarely, if ever, press their lips together. They show affection in completely different ways, holding hands, touching foreheads, sharing food, or simply staying close. And that single discovery changed the entire conversation. Because if millions of human beings can fall in love, marry, and raise children without ever kissing, then kissing may not be a fixed instinct written into all of us. It may be something that began somewhere, at some point, with someone. And if it had a beginning, then imagine how strange that first moment would have been. Two people standing face to face, with no tradition telling them what to do, no parents who had ever done it, no songs about first kisses, and no idea that this small act would one day be repeated by billions of people. Just one completely new behavior appearing in the world for the very first time. Unless, of course, it was never new at all. Because another group of scientists argues the exact opposite. They believe kissing is far older than civilization, older than language, and possibly older than our species itself. In their view, our ancestors never had to invent it, because they inherited it from something much deeper. To understand which idea is closer to the truth, we first have to ask a simpler question. Why do humans kiss at all? From a biological point of view, kissing is genuinely bizarre. Two people willingly press together one of the most bacteria-filled parts of their bodies. The human mouth carries hundreds of species of bacteria, and a single kiss can transfer millions of microscopic organisms from one person to another. Evolution usually removes behaviors that spread disease. So why would natural selection allow this one to survive for thousands of generations? The answer may be that kissing was never really about romance in the beginning. It may have been about information. Long before humans had words to describe how they felt, the body had its own language. Smell, touch, expression, and eye contact told our ancestors whether another person was healthy, frightened, trustworthy, or dangerous. And smell may have been the most powerful signal of all. We tend to underestimate the human nose because it seems useless compared to a dog's. But without ever realizing it, your brain is constantly reading tiny chemical compounds released by the skin and breath of the people around you. Many of these compounds shift when someone is sick, stressed, or eating differently. Studies have shown that people can often sense illness in another person through smell alone, without ever consciously knowing why. Your nose is quietly making judgments long before your mind catches up. Now, picture two early humans standing only a few centimeters apart, close enough to feel each other's breath, close enough to detect health, diet, stress, and dozens of invisible chemical signals in a single moment. Perhaps moving your face that close to another person's was not originally an act of affection at all. Perhaps it was simply the most efficient way to learn everything about them that your eyes could not see. And over thousands of generations, a practical behavior may have slowly turned into an emotional one. There is another clue, and strangely, it does not come from humans at all. It comes from our closest living relatives. Chimpanzees and bonobos share almost 99% of our DNA. They do not kiss the way people do in films, and they certainly do not hold weddings. But they do something surprisingly familiar. After conflicts, bonobos touch mouths, groom one another, hug, and use physical closeness to rebuild trust inside the group. Their version looks nothing like ours, and yet it serves a strikingly similar purpose. Tension drops, connection returns, the relationship heals, which raises a fascinating possibility. Perhaps the roots of kissing existed long before our species walked the earth, and human beings simply inherited an old behavior and gave it a new meaning. But if that were true, history should be full of it. And here is where the mystery deepens, because the earliest clear written evidence of kissing does not appear until thousands of years after civilization began. That evidence takes us to ancient Mesopotamia. Around 4,500 years ago, in the land that is now Iraq, scribes were pressing marks into wet clay to record laws, business deals, myths, poems, and, unexpectedly, romance. Among those tablets, historians found people writing about kissing. Not just parents kissing children, and not only religious gestures, but romantic partners kissing each other. This mattered enormously, because for years, many researchers believed romantic kissing had first appeared in ancient India. The Mesopotamian tablets pushed the timeline back even further, and suddenly kissing was not a recent cultural fashion. It was already ordinary more than 4,000 years ago. And that word, ordinary, is the important part. Because nowhere in those texts does anyone announce that kissing is new. No king takes credit for inventing it. No poet describes people reacting with confusion at this strange new custom. Everyone writes about it as though it has always been there, the way we would write about laughing or sleeping. Which tells historians something powerful. If people were casually writing about kissing 4,000 years ago, it almost certainly existed long before anyone thought it was worth writing down. The same pattern repeats everywhere. In ancient India, the famous Kama Sutra did not introduce kissing to the world. It carefully sorted kisses into categories and explained what each one meant, and you do not write detailed instructions for something nobody has ever done. Egypt mentions it. Greece mentions it. The Romans had different words for different kinds of kisses depending on the relationship between two people, and that kind of precision only develops after generations of tradition. So kissing is clearly older than history itself. The question is how much older, and history cannot answer that. Only evolution can. Think about what choosing a partner meant 100,000 years ago. There were no doctors, no tests, and no way to ask someone whether they were healthy. You had to decide with your senses alone, and the stakes were brutally high. Choosing badly did not just mean heartbreak. It could mean weaker children, more illness, and a smaller chance of surviving a hard season. If getting close enough to smell another person genuinely helped our ancestors choose healthier partners, Then that behavior would spread, generation after generation, without anyone ever understanding why. Modern research offers a strange hint in that direction. Studies suggest that people often prefer the natural scent of individuals whose immune system genes differ from their own. Parents with different immune genes tend to produce children able to fight a wider range of diseases. Nobody is aware of this while it happens. You simply think you like the way someone smells. Your body may be running an ancient calculation while your mind believes it is falling in love. But not everyone agrees, and this is where the debate becomes fierce. Anthropologists have documented societies where romantic kissing is rare, unfamiliar, or even considered unpleasant, and those people still marry, still love, and still raise families. If entire cultures live perfectly well without it, can kissing really be a universal human instinct? Or is it something we are taught? One side argues kissing is biology. The other argues it is culture. And remarkably, both sides have real evidence. Perhaps the answer is that both are partly right. Evolution may have given humans the deep need to bond physically, and every culture then invented its own way of expressing it. Some rub noses, some press foreheads, some gently breathe in the scent of another person's face. Love may be universal, while the shape love takes is not, which means the question we started with may be the wrong one. Perhaps nobody invented kissing. Perhaps it emerged again and again, in different places, among different people, the way farming and writing appeared independently across the ancient world. And so, despite satellites, gene editing, and machines exploring other planets, we still cannot answer one simple question with certainty. When did humans share their very first kiss? Maybe it happened around a fire 80,000 years ago. Maybe it happened in one of the world's first villages. Or maybe it happened so gradually that there never was a first kiss at all, only thousands of generations slowly changing the meaning of one small act. What we do know is this. Every time two people kiss, they are repeating something that reaches far back into our past, into a world of fire and darkness, and small groups of humans trying to survive the night together. Some mysteries are solved with buried cities, others with ancient bones. This one lives in the space between biology, culture, and feeling, and it has survived precisely because it left nothing behind. A kiss leaves no trace, only memory. And perhaps that is exactly why its true beginning will always remain one of the most beautiful, unanswered questions in human history.